We're playing spellbooks. That's right. Take a look. It's in a book, The Reading Rainbow of Pain. So to start our deck profile, we got 3 spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This is probably one of the best starters you can get. If it's normal summoned or flip face up, you can add a spellbook spell from your deck to your hand. This is great because this can get you pretty much anything in your library. Haha, funny because books. And if you brick it, which you don't really brick it, but if you have if you open 3 for some reason, you can discard another one with Spellbook of Knowledge and draw 2 cards. We'll get into that in a little bit. Next, we have 3 Jowgen the Spiritualist. This guy is pretty much an honorary Spellbook monster. He's the only card that you'll really need to craft outside the deck from the structure deck. He's definitely a necessity, and I would highly recommend 3. He's just really all around good as a floodgate. Jowgen is you can discard a random card from your hand to the graveyard, destroy all special summon monsters on the field. Neither player can special summon monsters. So he's basically a fossil Dyna that is easy to get because he's a spellcaster in a deck that you can search spellcasters. And he has the ability to do the destroy special summon monsters just right after you play him instead of having to flip him like Dyna. The downside is he is really weak. He only has 200 attack and only 1300 defense. But there are ways to protect him, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But Jowgen is definitely probably one of the best cards in the deck. Next, we have Temperance of Prophecy. This is a one-of, and you guys don't have to run this if you don't want to. I personally like running the 1. During your main phase, if you have activated a Spellbook spell card previously this turn, you contribute this card, special summon 1 level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster monster from your deck. You cannot special summon another level 5 or higher monster during the turn you activate this effect. So if you're planning on doing this, you're not going to be able to summon Priestess by her own effect. So if you already have Priestess in hand and you're able to special summon her out normally, then this card can typically just be discard fodder for Spellbook of Knowledge. Next up, we have Strength of Prophecy. Once per turn, you can shuffle a Spellbook card from your graveyard into your deck to target one face-up spellcaster monster in the field, increase its level by 1 and its attack by 500. So this is good because you can recycle the spellbooks in the grave, and that's pretty much the only thing I use it for. The attack boost is nice, I guess. It is a permanent attack boost, so you can make High Priestess 3000 if you need to. But the main reason I use this card is, let's say I need to play Spellbook of Eternity more than once, and it's not out of play, but it's in the graveyard. I can put it back into the deck, then I could search it with secrets, then I could play Eternity, then I could get the card that I needed that was banished. So that's just one good use case for it. Let's say we've used all of our Spellbook of Powers and we need the Spellbook of Power effect. We can put it back to the deck, search it with this or this, and then activate power on something, attack over something, and then get another search. Plus, Spellbook of Power plus this, you can make this card 3000. So it can also be a beat stick if needed. It's just a neat little utility card, basically. Next we have 3 High Priestess of Prophecy. You can reveal 3 Spellbook spells in your hand. Special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can banish 1 Spellbook spell from your hand or graveyard. Target 1 card on the field. Destroy that target. Yes, it targets. Yes, it is a once per turn effect, but it is not a hard once per turn. So if you have 2 of them out, you can destroy 2 things. So that effect is decent. It is a level 7, so you can go into rank 7s if you want to. Some people run Big Eye with this, some people run the Big Sword Dude. I just run the deck that came with I just run the card that came with the structure deck, just because I'm running pretty much pure spell books, and most of the time I'm not even going to go for the XYZ or the Link 7. I'm just going to protect Jowgen and Floodgate out my opponent. But yeah, that's pretty much it for High Priestess. Next we have 3 Spellbook of Secrets. Add 1 Spellbook card, so you can also add this guy right here, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Add 1 Spellbook card from your deck to your hand, except Spellbook of Secrets. You can only activate 1 Spellbook of Secrets per turn. But that's fine, because you can actually copy any Spellbook effect with Spellbook of Master, so if you need to search through things, you can. We'll get into that in a little bit. Next, we have Spellbook of Power, which I previously mentioned really quickly. You can target 1 spellcaster monster you control. This turn it gains 1,000 attack, and if it does, each time it destroys an opponent's monster by battle this turn, you can add 1 Spellbook spell from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Spellbook of Power per turn, unless you copy it with Master. But the fact that you can get a 3,000 attack and a potential search out of it, it's a decent effect. I'm running 3 just because if I end up not needing it, it's a discard outlet. I have thought about cutting one of them for Wonder Wand, which is an equip spell that when you equip it to a spellcaster, you contribute Wonder Wand and the spellcaster to draw 2 cards. But personally, I'm too salty from being ashed off Wonder Wand to want to run it at this point. But I figured I would recommend that as an alternative, just in case you don't want to run 3 Spellbook of Power. Next, we have Spellbook of Eternity. Target one of your banished Spellbook cards. Accept Spellbook of Eternity. Add the target to your hand, and you can only activate 1 Spellbook of Eternity once per turn. So, hard once per turn. We're only running 1 copy. I have thought about running 2, but for now I'm just going to run the 3 Spellbook of Power and the 1 Eternity. Next we have Spellbook Library of the Crescent. If you have no Spellbook spell cards in your graveyard, like throw or removed, or if you're just using this as a starter, you can reveal 3 Spellbook spell cards with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly adds 1 of them to your hand, and then you shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only activate 1 Spellbook Library of the Crescent per turn. You cannot activate any spell cards the turn you activate this card except Spellbook spell cards. So this is okay as a starter, and if you didn't get what you needed in your opening hand, this can actually kind of make or break the game for you. Most of the time with this card, if I like bricked or if I just don't have the best hand, I'll just go for Secrets, Master, and Knowledge to try to sort of get something to unclog my hand, and that's worked out pretty well for me. So, 2 Spellbook Library of the Crescents, 3 Spellbook of the Master. This is the one that if you control a spellcaster type monster, it can be Jowgen, it can be Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, it can be Priestess, it can be just any spellcaster. You can reveal 1 other Spellbook card in your hand, target 1 Spellbook normal spell card in your graveyard, so you can't do it with Fate. Except Spellbook of Master. This card's effect becomes the target's effect. You can only activate 1 Spellbook of the Master per turn. So, hard once per turn, but being able to copy something is awesome. It's an amazing extender, and this is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. Next up, we have Spellbook of Knowledge. We're running 3 copies. Send to the graveyard 1 spellcaster monster you control, or 1 Spellbook card from your hand or face-up field, except Spellbook of Knowledge. And if you do, draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Spellbook of Knowledge per turn. So they basically have to ash this before you do the send. So that's why I prefer this card to Wonder Wand. I almost said Wonder Wand. But that's why I like Spellbook of Knowledge over Wonder Wand. Next, we have 2 Pot of Extravagance. This is basically if your hand is really bad and you need it for the consistency. I don't like this card too much because when you play it, it locks you out of using Spellbook Library of the Crescent, but sometimes you just really need to draw for consistency. Next, we have Spellbook of Life. Banish a spellcaster type monster from your graveyard. Reveal 1 other Spellbook spell card in your hand to target 1 spellcaster type monster in your graveyard. special summon that target in face-up attack position, equip it with this card. The equipped monster's level is increased by the level of the monster that was banished for this card's activation. You can only activate one Spellbook of Life per turn. So, decent card, and the best part about it is once the equipped monster's out, it doesn't disappear or anything when it's equipped. So you can, when the equip goes away, it won't disappear. So you can use Spellbook of Knowledge to send it from the field to get 2 cards, which is pretty great. Next we have 2, the Grand Spellbook Tower. I'm running 2 because 3 is too many, and 1, sometimes something happens to it. I can't get it back. This card can also be discarded if you brick it, but this card's pretty good. Once per turn during your standby phase, if you have a spellcaster type monster on your side of the field or in your graveyard, you can place 1 Spellbook spell card from your deck. You can place 1 Spellbook spell card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck, except Spellbook Grand Tower, and draw a card. So this lets you recycle your cards, which is awesome. And on top of that, it lets you draw a card. So if you have a clogged hand, it can help you just a little bit with that. So recycling stuff like Spellbook of Secrets, drawing a free card, this card's pretty good. And if it stays on the field for more than 1 standby phase, you have pretty much gotten some good consistency out of it. Its second effect is when this card in your possession is destroyed by your opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck whose level is less than or equal to the number of spellbook spell cards in your graveyard. Let's just say we have 2, we can special summon Spellbook Magician of Prophecy and Search. If we have 7, we can get High Priestess. If we have 4, we can get one of these homies. Well, 4 or 3. So that's pretty good. Hand or deck, it's pretty nice, and it's 1 spellcaster type monster, so it can be jowgen as well if your opponent destroys this for some whatever reason, and you just say, hey, I'm going to bring out a floodgate in defense. And then finally we have Starbuck Hall. I don't like this card very much, but the attack boost that it gives has won some of the games for me. Each time a Spellbook spell card is activated, place a spell counter on this card. All spellcaster monsters you control gain 100 attack for each spell counter on this card. When this card with spell counters is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add a spellcaster type monster from your deck to your hand. His level was less than or equal to the number of spell counters that were on this card. So it's an okay search. I mainly use it for the attack boost. It's pretty slow overall, but the attack boost has helped me win games. And we get Spellbook of Fate, which in my opinion is probably one of the best cards in the deck. If you control a spellcaster type monster, so it can be jowgen or just any spellcaster, you can banish up to 3 Spellbook spell cards from your graveyard. Apply this effect. Depending on the number of spell cards banished for this card's activation, you can only activate 1 Spellbook of Fate per turn. So if you banish 1, you can return a set spell or trap card in the field to the hand. 2, you can change a monster on the field to face down defense position or face up attack position. 3, banish 1 card your opponent controls. And this does not target. So if your opponent has something that can't be targeted and can't be destroyed, that's fine. Spellbook of Fate does not care. And the fact that this card is searchable and that this card is easy to recycle just makes this card amazing. And then finally, we get to the best card in the deck, definitively, which is Spellbook of Judgment. During the end phase of the turn this card was activated, add Spellbook spell cards from your deck to your hand, except Spellbook of Judgment, up to the number of spell cards activated after this card's resolution. So if you're going to go off, you play this first, you go off, and then at the end of the turn, you get to recycle a bunch of stuff. So you get to add cards equal to number up to the number of spell cards activated this turn after this card's resolution, and then you can special summon from your deck 1 spellcaster type monster whose level is less than or equal to the number of cards added to your hand by this effect. you can only activate one Spellbook of Judgment per turn. And it's one spellcaster type monster. So if you have activated 3, you can get jowgen. So next we have Called by the Grave. We're running 2 copies. Called by the Grave is really good because Ash just kind of shits all over your day. Ash can disrupt this deck, and you do not want that to happen. You definitely want to play double Called by the Grave in here. If you don't like some of the cards in this list, I would advise swapping those out for a couple Ash Blossoms of your own and a Cross-Held Designator, so you have basically more defense from your opponent doing shenanigans, and also another card to negate Ash. And the next we have 2 Infinite Impermanence. This card's really good. I like being able to stop my opponent's starting effects while it's their turn. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, we got 3 Hierophant of Prophecy. If you're willing to spend extra gems on this deck, I would probably run like 1 Hierophant of Prophecy, 1 Big Eye, and the 1 big blade guy who's level 7. But it's 2 level 7 spellcaster type monsters, so 2 priestesses basically. Once per turn, you can detach an XYZ material from this card, destroy spell or trap cards your opponent controls up to the number of spellbook spell cards in your graveyard. This has been very fun against things like trap tricks, to just be like, oh, make this, goodbye back row. Floodgate decks, like Eldritch, this has been pretty clutch against. So there's just stuff that you can use it for. Next we have 3 Crowley, the first Prophecy, or Prophecyr rather. It's any 2 spellcaster monsters. When it's link summoned, you can reveal 3 spellbook cards with different names from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one for you to add to your hand. Shuffle the rest into the deck. You can only use this effect of Crowley, the first Prophecyr, once per turn. During the end... you can only use that effect once per turn. The next effect is once per turn, each turn, so you also during your opponent's turn. Not during your opponent's turn, sorry, your turn. Fucking up with this deck list all over the place. It's been a long time since I played Spellbooks, let me tell you that. They haven't been in the TCG for quite a while. So basically, you can special summon, not special summon, you can normal summon a level 5 or higher spellcaster monster without tributing. How many times was it going to fuck up that effect? And then we have 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 2 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 LP Masquerina, 1 Area the Water Charmer, 2 Dark the Dark Charmer, 1 Decode Talker, 1 Nightmare Unicorn. That is it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to go ahead and show you all a couple of replays. But before I do that, I just want to let you all know that once again, this video is sponsored by W Energy. You can use code SirLargeGaming to get 10% off of your order. I personally like the peach mango flavor with the dragon fruit pink lemonade flavor being my second favorite. Gives me a lot more energy than a cup of coffee does, even more than some of the canned energy drinks. And there's like a good amount of servings in the container to where it works out to be about like $1 per serving. So it's a lot cheaper than me going and getting like a case of Red Bull, and I like it better than that anyway. But if you're into energy drinks, try it. If you're not into energy drinks, sorry to waste your time with the sponsor spot. And let's get into the replays. Gonna go up here. Got a couple of them for you. Alright, so this is a pretty good opening hand. So I'm just going to set end. And since I'm going second, I get another card. And I'm just like, okay, let's go off. They ash it. Great. That means we can still draw cards. So, search, copy, reveal, search. I really should have slammed down jowgen, honestly, but I was greedy and wanted cards. My greed's going to get rewarded here because I'm not going to get OTK'd this turn. They are going to bring out some of the Life Twins. I still have no idea what this deck does. I normally beat it before they can really do too much. I just know that the Trouble Sunny is really annoying. It can like recycle stuff. But I take the damage. They do the tag out thing. They bring the other two guys back. They do more damage. I'm sitting at pretty low life, and I'm just like, well, crap. So we get to the point where I say, well, what can I even do here? I just say, okay, I'll bring out Jowgen. Search the card, copy the card. I'm just gonna set, activate the Jowgen effect. They're gonna Ghost Ogre the Jowgen, but it doesn't matter. They lose their field anyway. And they can't use the effect to tag out because no special summons. So finally I said, okay, cool, let's do some stuff here. We're finally getting places. Waiting for my opponent to do things. I know that that spell card they play is annoying, so I'm going to fade it. They don't get that. Even if they normal summoned one of the other guys, it's not going to matter because I have 2 imperms down, and I'm set up to be in a really good position to where even if I brick to the next turn, I have the power to search, so that game was pretty much over. I had a lot of games where I just slammed down Jowgen, did the Spellbook combo, got a bunch of cards in my hand, and had the obvious fates set, and my opponent just scooped. So that's why I don't have more replays, is because a lot of the time it just went like, slam Jowgen on board, do the Spellbook combo, and my opponent just says, well, I can't get over Jowgen, so that's game. And so first things first, reveal the 3 Spellbook cards, slam down Priestess. They're going to go ahead and ash that, so I don't get the effect. It's okay. We're going to play the field spell. We're going to drop Jowgen just because if my opponent has to beat over it, at least they can't special summon until main phase 2, and I can keep Priestess was my logic. But they can't do anything because they're playing Blue Eyes, and they need to special summon big monsters, and they can't do that with Jowgen on the board. So pump up Jowgen, add with Jowgen, just do all the different shenanigans. We are shenaniganing as hard as we can, and we're going to end on set fate. So now if they can beat over Jowgen, which they can with that mighty 300 attack, it doesn't matter. We're actually going to just change it to face down defense instead of banishing because it costs less cards to remove, and we want the draw effect for a field spell next turn. But it doesn't matter because they surrender there, and with good reason. They're pretty much have no hope of winning at this point. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys like this deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile and like the replays. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.